Good afternoon. Before we go any further, please take a moment to silence your phones. Use of flash photography is strictly prohibited. Joseph Carrillo will take care of any, let's just say don't do it. My name is Doug Wilson. I'm an adjunct here at Waynesburg University, and I have the distinct pleasure of inviting you to the one and only set of internship presentations for this semester. When I was first asked to do this, I didn't realize I was going to be working with such luminaries as Alvin and the The interns and their presentations. Starting things off for this musically challenged group. Hailing from North Huntington, Pennsylvania, senior sports announcing major and the general manager of WCTV, Meg Barry. Next, this says the brains of the group, obviously a typo. The one who actually, however, can sing and use a camera properly and brings a boatload of positivity from Peters Township, Pennsylvania, sophomore electronic media major, Washington Wildthings intern, photography director of the Yellow Jacket, Waynesburg influencer, starring Simon Hoy. Connor Hoy. I should have proofread this. Following the brains of the group, the fun, cute, I did not write this, lovable singer of the Chipmunks from Murraysville, Pennsylvania, junior sports announcing major, WKRG News 5 news intern, Theodore, who you know better as Anthony DeFilippo. And last and least, but not least, the lead singer, the rebel without a clue, the chipmunk that makes Dave's hair turn gray and my hair fall out, residing from Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, junior sports announcing major, Washington Wildthings intern, and a part-time producer at KDKA FM 93.7 The Fan, Alvin! Who you know better as Logan Arblaster. Now, who wants to hear them sing? Oh, I'm totally kidding. None of us want that. Instead, please sit back, relax, and enjoy these internship presentations.
At the payoff, high fly ball in the left field, that's deep, and that ball is gone. A solo shot to start the top of the seventh inning for T.J. Reeves.
That was a game between the Florence Yalls and the Washington Wildthings. The Florence Yalls in that game were the away team. You're probably wondering why I chose to start my presentation with the away team hitting a home run instead of the Washington Wildthings. But I totaled over 300 hours and called over 15 games, but somehow I was not on the call for a single Wildthings home run. Still don't know how. Outside of that, though, everything else about my internship experience was pretty amazing. You probably already gathered from Connor Hoy's presentation that the Wildthings are a team in the Frontier League, which is an independent baseball league affiliated as a partner league with Major League Baseball. For the next 8 to 10 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about that internship, starting with some insight on who my supervisor was, giving some samples from my work, some pieces I wrote, some of my play-by-play demo, some of the highlights about the internship as a whole, and then an overall reflection on my experience. You talk about some of the names that always get mentioned. Connor already highlighted them, but I'll do it again. Here in the Waynesburg University Comm Department, walking the hallways, one of the most successful names we always talk about, Kyle Dawson, Frontier League Broadcaster of the Year in 2019 and 2021. Is now working as the Vice President of Baseball Operations with the Wildthings. So very appreciative of the opportunity he gave me last summer to work in the field of communication in a professional environment and see how it works from a bunch of different angles. Those angles were media relations, video production, and play-by-play announcing. I initially was brought in just as a media relations and video production intern. By the end of the summer, I worked my way into primarily play-by-play and color announcing for the Wild Things. I would say that the highlight of my internship was definitely announcing, but being able to work in all three of these areas, I think, was a significant advantage for me, being able to get the most out of my internship as I possibly could, opposed to just working in one of the three. Specifically in media relations, the number one thing that I learned there was to hone in on my writing skills, and I did that by writing game recaps, game stories, player bios. On the screen is a piece I wrote from a condensed game back on May 26th. The Wild Things ended up losing that game. I think the number one thing I learned in media relations while I was doing these pieces was I had to be just as engaged in the action writing these pieces as if I was announcing them as well. One of the things I did to help with that, I took a notebook with me and I'd sit behind home plate and I would write for every single batter of the entirety of the 9 innings, making sure that I did not miss a beat for whatever I was writing about. One of the other things I worked on with media relations was the team's 2024 media guide. For video production, the number one takeaway I had for that was knowing what every camera's responsibility is during every single play. On the screen is an example of one of the times I was on third base camera during a pitching change. And that's kind of what the third base camera does when there is a pitching change. They get the pitcher. Some other things I learned: when there's a lefty batter, the third base camera gets the batter because that's the front side of the batter. First base camera would be on the pitcher. And vice versa, if it's a righty, then those roles are switched. There's a lot more guidelines and rules as it pertains to camera work whenever there's runners on, but I won't get into that due to time constraints. Something else that I learned was by following along with the director, shadowing him, and picking his brain on how a baseball broadcast is supposed to look and things of that nature. I wanted to save my favorite part for last, which is announcing. I got more out of my innings on play-by-play than anything else last summer. I woke up every single day with an enthusiasm and excitement to go to the ballpark, get to work on things that I wanted to work on, and really hone in on the things that I was weak at up to that point. These streams were simulcasted, which means some people were listening on the MixLR app and other people were watching the game on Flow Sports TV. And what a simulcast is essentially, like I said, TV, radio mix, but it required me to describe the game in a sense that if you weren't watching it, then you could picture it in your mind, and that's kind of where the radio aspect comes in for that. But I was on the call for a bunch of games. Like I said, not too many exciting calls, unfortunately, but I think there are two pretty solid ones here that I got to call last summer that I'd like everyone to listen to.
3 with 5 homers, 11 RBI. He cooled down since then and now recently picking it back up. That one's fisted over to the second baseman. Mattis on to second for 1, on to first for 2. 1-1 pitch, swinging a high fly ball, left field again, tailing towards the left field foul pole. Lagrange back and at the warning track makes the catch. Right at the 3:25 mark, 1 out.
Some of the things I worked on and have continued to work on are varying calls. I made a full 3-page vocab sheet last summer, wrapping things up in between innings, being really concise, and just picking the brains of the other broadcasters, listening to them, the good and the bad, taking away as much as I could. And that allowed me to become a better broadcaster. In addition to the fact, like I said, that it was simulcasted, knowing that some people were only picturing the game in their minds, describing it in a sense that they could envision it almost like they were watching the game. And it's all about fan experience at Wild Things Park. There were fireworks nights, theme nights, and learning from people that have been so successful in the field for a long time and knowing how things operate. And an independent league baseball team was super cool. The Wild Things slogan is "We make forever fans." The idea behind that is that people come to the stadium for more than just the product on the field. Speaking of the product on the field, they won 65 games last year, which was a franchise record. That's including the postseason, until they lost to Quebec in the championship series. The Wild Things offered a lot of unique experiences. Like I said, fireworks nights, theme nights. The one that stood out to me the most is the celebrity softball game that featured current and former Pittsburgh Steelers, other athletes, as well as personalities from Pittsburgh Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. So on screen is some of the pictures I took throughout my internship, kind of highlighting that fan experience a little bit. The bottom picture is from a time I was on first base camera and during a fireworks night, grabbed a picture of that. The bottom left, I'm doing some photography during the actual celebrity game itself. I think that's Connor Hayward playing first base over there. And that's Cam Hayward's brother. Cam Hayward actually did his Not Just Football podcast just before the game. So I helped set up a camera for that, run a camera, and it was cool to get to meet him. Fireworks nights, as I already mentioned, there's a picture of one there. That's usually on most Fridays. Saturdays are giveaways like bobbleheads and t-shirts, and then there's a lot more that brings fans back to the ballpark, knowing that it's not just about the product on the field and independent baseball. There was a bunch of things that kept bringing people back to Wild Things Park, now EQT Park, last summer. Today I presented on my hybrid internship with the Wild Things last summer. I encourage anyone looking for an internship to apply there. It was a great experience for me. I really enjoyed it, and my internship served as a necessary stepping stone for me towards my pursuit of being a prominent name in Pittsburgh broadcasting. Reflecting on some of what I accomplished, I was very proud of my ability to stay disciplined over a long period of time and getting the most out of what the internship offered. I grew my X account, built more of a presence on social media. I further instilled in myself the importance of preparation that Lanny Fratteri has preached to me since day one here. Most importantly, I took away friendships that will last a lifetime and getting the chance to call the game I love, even if I never called a home run for the winningest team in Wild Things history. To wrap things up, my graduation cap in high school had the saying, "Win each pitch," which is really the philosophy I've tried to live by since I got here to Waynesburg University 3 years ago. I can confidently say I did not take a pitch off last summer. Thank you. I'll open it up for any questions. Any questions? Logan?
Being that you grew up in the area, know Pittsburgh sports, I know talk about a lot is, being open-minded to moving around. Are you kind of dead set on Pittsburgh where you want to call home forever, or are you open to taking opportunities?
I'll be in Pittsburgh. Anybody else? Danny?
So from your transition from Washington Wildthings to now being a part-time worker at 93.7, what were some skills that you learned from Wildthings that are now helping you at 93.7 KZKA?
I'd say that being able to speak on the air, sometimes when you're live, there's things that happen that you don't know are going to happen. So just building up a comfortability with yourself on the air, being able to react to situations and be able to still be comfortable when you don't expect it, those type of things. A lot of the time as a producer at the Fan, there will be situations where I'll be thrown in and won't exactly, it's not something I prepared for, and it's just kind of in the conversation. So being able to still be good on the fly, be good consistently regardless of the circumstances is something that I think is necessary if you're trying to improve in that nature. Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming out this afternoon. On behalf of Meg, Connor, Flip, and myself, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.